Hi guys, and welcome back to another Star Wars review. This time I'm going to give you something a little bit different, something I don't do very often. And this is my custom Republic gunship. All I've basically done is weathered it. It is the old 2002 Attack of the Clones version. Just a basic simple weathering done to this. This was requested by starwarsshack. I am so sorry because he asked me ages ago, and this is really the first opportunity I've got because I'm going to have to go into some detail. Materials I used, as I haven't painted in a while, so what I used was, look at the state of that, is a oil paint. It's cheap artist oil paint. You can buy them from most stores. I bought this from the Works in the UK. And mine were all out of date, all khaki. Toothbrush, what am I on? A paintbrush. Now, you don't need a brand new brush. In fact, the worse the better. You know, obviously you've still got to be able to manipulate it, but you know, you're not looking for anything great. You can be quite brutal with the tip. You know, you need another one for fine detailing, but you know, if you've got an old scuffed one. And the magic ingredient, which you're not going to believe, come in the garden, baby wipes. That's right. Rather than use terps or paint thinner to wipe them down, and this is the scariest thing as a parent. I was watching a program over in the UK that we call 60-minute makeover, where they go in and they decorate the house within an hour, and then the person comes back, blah blah blah. But one of them was on, he spilt some paint on the carpet, and the expert, whatever, came and said, you know what's really good for these? Baby wipes. And you wipe don't forget it was gloss paint. So, you know, and if you painted with gloss in your house, you know how bad that is. So you just wiped it up with the baby wipes, and I thought, Jesus Christ. And I'm putting on that on my baby's bum. You know, to the babies anymore, but they're good for general cleaning. Wiping down stuff and, you know, general grimy, messy stuff. But they're also cool for this because, as I said, with the if I wipe the gloss paint up, this will water down gloss paint. But instead of to make it drippy, you can manipulate it and smooth it, and that is how I achieved some of the more dustier weathering panels. Because the cool thing about this, if you want it dark, give it a little wipe. But you can go right down to get it really subtle, so it looks like it's really worked in quickly, rather than having to wait for the paint to age and be affected by daylight, you know, and that kind of all sorts of natural things affect your paint. If you weathered or made models before, it seems to be a dying art these days. They're all pre-made, the Star Wars stuff anyway. When I was a kid, I used to make paint and glue it all together. But anyway, so that's what I did. Just got a tattoo brush. This is Payne's Grey. Do not use black. Black is way too dark, and it looks really, really cheap. It doesn't look natural. It really doesn't. It's great for rounds of, like, you know, the engines, burn marks. But if you're weathering, stay away from black. A nice dark grey. I use Payne's Grey, which is, you know, next down from black. But if you can use a mixture of greys. But as I say, just stay away from black if you can. I mean, there is, you know, the Hasbro's weathering. Again, with this piece here, that's Hasbro's with a bit of mine put in. And I'll give you a quick flyover. I'll put some in there. It's basically going into the lines and smoothing them out, just to give it that. What's a beaten up? Now this is work in progress on the interior. I felt to look plain. I'll give you a look at what I'm doing with that. I'm still working on that, trying to find an approach that I feel comfortable with. So there we go. And come down and round the front. So bring it on the front now. You'll notice there's some browns, some light browns, burnt umber I use. And it's reflected, and I see there's some like sandy beigey colour in there. That's the start. I just want to put some mud. I scraped off, I painted a load of grey enamel in and scraped it off with a hobby knife and my keys, just to make it look like they've been carrying heavy equipment off and on. It's like you see with old trains and vehicles where you're being used constantly, just to give it a bit more of this thing's been used in battle. That's going to get a lot darker, a lot browner. So if you look at it and go, oh, I don't like that, which I'm doing now because I'm overly critical of my own work, but even I know that's not great. I'm going to work on that till I get it just how I like it. As you say, it's just simple weathering. The more you want it to get it in, just rub harder with the baby wipe. If you don't want it dark, just don't rub it that hard. And most importantly, don't worry about fingerprints. As long as it's not, a clear, oh, that's a fingerprint. Obviously, you're not daft. Then, leave it be. But you can, it gives it that natural. Accidents, I find, when I'm weathering, especially with Star Wars. What am I saying? Especially with Star Wars, it's the only stuff I do. But especially with weathering, the more accidental it looks, the better. I mean, that's a problem with, a lot of customizers will tell you that when you look at a Hasbro weathering, it's mechanical. And we all know it looks mechanically done. It's passable, it's good, it's great. Otherwise we wouldn't collect the stuff, but it's just passable. And when people weather, I mean, if you check the Imperial shipyards, there's some geniuses on there. I mean, Jay, Rasputin 37 here, and he's Wraith 9 on the shipyards. He's just done a custom Y-Wing Clone Wars, weathered it, superb. You want to check that out on the shipyards. So, it's just basically making the lived-in look that Star Wars has. You make it look like it's not this hunk of plastic, but rather a living, breathing, used vehicle, and it adds just that bit of extra to your stuff. So what I'm going to show you now, if I can, is how I weather it in. It's gross. I am really filthy and do not look after my equipment. The problem you'll have, if you buy new stuff and it hasn't gone off, what I suggest you do is dip your brush, wipe it off till it's barely dry, either on the piece of paper or whatever you're using to dip your paint on, like so, just to get the most off, and then use it so you get barely on, and just basically look where you want to put it. It's hard to do this with the brush. So if we go in here, just, even if you just dap it like that, just, sometimes don't even have to. Rub it in, just sort of, because dust will get into all the corners and that kind of thing. I just hope the light's alright. It's a bright day, but those of us who live in the UK will know it means nothing. If I put a load in the corner there, so I'll put that all in there quite roughly. Right. So bear with me now while I get a baby wipe. Alright, just a common garden baby wipe. Here's the corner bit. Yeah. Let me just rub it in. Use it like a brush, just take a step back and push it into corners. And if you want dots in that, just dab it gently to keep the basic shape in. You know, just experiment. You just play around with it a bit. See what you can come up with. Okay, so while I was on the subject of customing, and hopefully this will be on the end of the gunship review. If not, this will be a complete new review, so in that case, welcome to a brand new review. So what I've done, I like Clone Wars, don't get me wrong. I know most of my reviews are original trilogy, movie stuff, but I do like the Clone Wars. But seeing as my son likes them as well, Luke, who knows the Clone Wars reviews on YouTube, it'd be expensive and stupid to buy 2 sets of Clone Wars, so I let him do that, and I keep the movies. But I did want to make these, which is a movie version of Commander Cody. The visor was difficult to make. He was made out of the plastic tray that my paints came in, and cut it into the pieces needed, glued it together and glued it to his head and my fingers several hundreds of times. The antenna is an old bit of Star Wars. I think it was a Saga 02 Luke Bespin where he's hanging off the vane. I want to make a better holder for it. That's blue tack glued. It looks better in real life, to be honest. Camera picks up all the flaws. As for the straight line, I found it very handy that you put your straight line, and if it's not straight enough, you just get the tip of the blaster and just keep scraping at it until you make that straight line. So that's that. So there we go. There is Cody, and this figure was originally the Evolutions 2005. There's a review up on it on my page anyway. Figure, as you can see, is in its original format, and along with that pack you get a Revenge of the Sith Commander. Now, we were all in awe in the Clone Cadet and ARC Troopers episodes to start season 3. And I think it's safe to say that most people fell in love with a certain ARC Commander cult of the Rancor Battalion, and I felt fitting to do one. Obviously not entirely identical to his on-screen Clone Wars appearance, but what I wanted to give him was a Revenge of the Sith type appeal, being that he's a Revenge of the Sith figure. So if I show you their face, I thought that worked pretty well. Not entirely accurate on the teeth, but for such a small scale and my limited abilities, work very well. Oh, no, he's not going to stand up. Yes, he is. Well done, me. And of course, now everyone's favourite, well, especially mine, Captain Rex. If I stand him here. Rex was a Saga Legends Wave 2, Phase 2 even, clone. Basically, added the blue stripes. Same deal as I did with Cody. Used the blaster to straighten the lines, and I had a fine detailing brush. Come on, focus. Come on, you know you want to. I wasn't able to put the little blue lines in, but the same deal with them. Did them nice with a nice little detailing brush, and used the blaster to straighten it. The viewfinder was off a Saga 02 Jango Fett. The pauldron is off Devis, along with the Karma. So there's. I just noticed how rough the paint looks when you look up close, but again, you have to take my word for it. It looks a lot better in. So there we go. There's the 3. And the gunship there. So I hope you've enjoyed that little review. Well, look at those. That's about all the time I have. So I shall see you next time. And laugh it up, fuzzballs.